Chuck Mulkey defined statesmanship. He defined being a gentleman. It was never really important. His priority was not winning or losing. Chuck's priority was always between right and wrong, and he always fell toward and pushed toward the right side. I'm sure that he would always ask himself before he had any interaction with people, any type of conversation, what's the right way to address this issue, with an emphasis on how can you get it done and be proud of what was done at the end of it.
It's almost amusing in that Chuck was in the business of political business for many, many years. And back before the internet and before anyone could check out who was voting and how they were voting and what everyone's precinct was, Chuck had that in his head. He was the most knowledgeable person in this community about this community. And so all of us, Republicans and Democrats, sought his advice and his help as we sought to understand this community.
The 2000 election was my first general election, and that was, of course, the Bush-Gore election. And we had people from both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in our office for days and days and days, like 30 days. And we had some heated moments in some of our canvassing board meetings, but I can tell you that my friend Chuck Mulkey was always calm. His calm demeanor and sitting back and focusing on the process, not on the personalities and not so much on the parties.
A man of principle, a thoroughly decent human being. He was always civil. He was devoted to the Democratic Party, but he was most devoted to good, honest government.
And he was such a reservoir of knowledge. Never did I ask Chuck a question that he didn't have the answer, but a lot of people have answers, but he was able to back it up with statistical data and knew more about the demographics and the patterns of voting and those kinds of issues than anybody else in Collier County.
Chuck was someone who personified the notion that you can disagree with someone without being disagreeable.
He didn't try and convert you, okay? He never used that, never. You knew right off the bat that Chuck Mulkey was a Democrat, was going to remain a Democrat, but he wasn't going to take his Republican friends and say, here's why you should become a Democrat. That was not his style. He was there to help and to give advice.
Chuck would like to talk the decisions through. He was never adversarial, but that didn't mean that he was not a hard fighter for the things that he believed in. I think people respected the fact that he always approached it as a gentleman, as a statesman, and he was always consistent in that manner.
He approached everything from a very homegrown perspective. He loved Naples. And so what his whole philosophy was, what is in the best interest of our community? And so he was able to bring together diverse groups of people to create an atmosphere of how do we move forward? How do we work together?
It didn't have a Chuck Mulkey spin to it. It was factual and it was accurate. And I think that's a trait that more people should seek to emulate.
Force for good. You can't beat that. I mean, force for good is a good thing.